Hello, in this video I want to talk about calibration frames for deep sky astrophotography, flats, biases and darks. But in this video I'm not going to go too deep into what those particular types of calibration frames are, how to take them, how exactly do they affect your image, but actually I'm going to show you a practical example of how an image looks if you didn't take any of the calibration frames and you just stuck a bunch of light frames and you try to edit them in Photoshop versus an image and stack that is produced by taking every of those types of calibration frames, so including flats, including biases and including darks, and having all that in your final stack. How these two images actually compare together, and is it worth the extra effort and time to actually take those calibration frames? You can decide it for yourself by the end of the video. So a few nights ago I was shooting the Orion Nebula with my 72-300 and a 2x RF extender on my Canon EOS R that I'm shooting on right now. And this is my final edited photos. So just for reference, when I will be showing you those stacked images in Photoshop, this is how my final photo looks, and this is how much detail was I able to pull out of this image. And actually bear in mind that this image was taken under Bortle 7 Sky class, so I am quite amazed on how good this image turned out to be. So we are going to open Adobe Photoshop and we are going to take a look at two versions of the images. I was pre-processing stacking those images with the app called Siril, and this is quite a new app on the market for pre-processing and also post-processing for deep sky astrophotography. I would highly recommend you check out Siril because this is a free app, this is a completely open source, and it is compatible with pretty much any operating system like Windows, macOS and Linux I think as well, so definitely check it out. And if you want me to create a video dedicated about pre-processing images in Siril, let me know down below in the comments and I will do so. So I have two images. One of them was created by stacking everything that I shot that night, which includes 150 light frames, 150 dark frames, 100 flats and 100 biases. So this is the first stack that we are going to take a look, and then the other stack that I have created for testing purposes is just by taking the 150 light frames but discarding all of the calibration frames. So let's look at them and compare them together. Okay, so as you can see right here in Photoshop, I have two layers in my document. The first one, the one that you are seeing right now, is the stack created by taking flats, biases and darks. And then this one is created by taking only light frames. And as you can see right off the bat, the difference is very subtle if you look at how the image turned out to be straight from pre-processing from Siril. The image created by taking only lights is a little bit brighter, a little bit less contrasty, and also if you look at the core of the Orion, as you can see the color is a little bit richer here with flats, biases and darks, and with only lights the color is a little bit washed out, and also there is a little bit less detail in the core itself. But the real difference starts to emerge when you actually try to stretch the histogram of those images. So first, let's do the basic stretching and color correction for the version with flats, biases and darks, which is supposed to give us better results. So I'm going to select this layer and I'm going to run through a couple of levels adjustments to stretch my histogram. So I'm going to hit Command or Control L to bring up my levels, and then I'm going to move the black point somewhere here and move the midpoint in order to stretch this histogram. Okay. So I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to do it again. So again, Command L, and then a second iteration. So something like this. Stretch that histogram really nice. OK. And maybe a third one. So again, Command L, and stretch it even more in order to get a nice contrasty image. And that looks pretty good, so again OK, and right now I'm going to add just a single curves adjustment in order to get rid of this blue color cast and also introduce a little bit more contrast. So I'm going to hit Command M to bring up the curves, and I'm going to select the blues. I'm going to kill the blues a little bit, something like this. Then I'm also going to switch to the greens. I'm going to kill the greens, and that's an image that I really like already. I'm going to switch to RGB and apply a little bit of an S-curve, so down here, up a little bit here. And this is pretty much how this image looks. I'm going to accept it at this point. And as you can see, the image is fairly clean. I don't see any artifacts besides from this on the edges, this black stuff on the edges. This is an artifact after stacking because the stacking algorithm was aligning my individual images and it doesn't crop it out automatically. You have to do it yourself, but this is perfectly normal. But other than that, the image looks very clean. And right now, let's take a look at the image that was stacked with only the flat frames. I'm going to disable that for now. Actually, I can leave it enabled and I'm just going to move it upwards. So again, this is the stacked image straight from Siril by stacking only the light frames and discarding every calibration frame that I took. So again, I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to hit Command L to bring out the levels, and I'm going to stretch my histogram. Okay, I'm going to do it again. So Command L, and maybe one more time again. So Command L, and let's do that. And then again, I'm going to apply a curves adjustment. So Command M. I'm gonna kill the blues, so something like this. And as you can see already, the image kind of looks way more green than before. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna go to greens, and I'm gonna kill the greens. And then I'm going to apply the RGB adjustments. I'm gonna pull out some contrast here. Yeah, something like this. Maybe then I'm gonna go back to the blues, then maybe kill the blues a little bit more. And at this point you should start seeing some problems. So I'm gonna go to green again and maybe kill a little bit more green. Yeah, something like this. I'm gonna hit OK, and then let's take a look at the before and then the after. As you can see, with stacking only the light frames, I really am not able to get rid of this color cast. As you can see, everything is a little bit either greenish or bluish, no matter what I do in the curves. And also there's a pretty big vignette here around this image. The vignetting is here because, again, the vignetting is being taken care of by taking the flat frames. So in this image I was using flats, and there's pretty much no vignetting in this image whatsoever. But again, in this one I can see a pretty big vignette where the center of the image is significantly brighter than the edges. So unless you plan on cropping into this image significantly, I think it's well worth taking the flat frames. And also, if you take a look at here, I don't know how well you can see it, but right around these areas here, here, I have some dust spots. And again, in the image that was taken by stacking every calibration frame, there are no dust spots right here whatsoever. So taking those calibration frames can take care of vignetting and take care of dust spots. So I think the difference is very much apparent, and those exposures were actually taken with only a 30 seconds of a shutter speed because I was shooting this on my Star Adventure. I didn't have an auto guider, so I was limited by my exposure time at 600mm to shoot at only around 30 seconds. And if I was shooting longer exposures like 2, 3, 4 minutes, I would probably have a lot more hot pixels and thermal noise in the final stack produced by only light frames. The dark frames can really take care of all of that thermal noise. So if you're shooting with an auto guider and you have very long exposures, couple of minutes long, I would highly recommend you take those dark frames. And as you can see, also by including flats, biases and darks, even with shorter exposures, I was able to completely eliminate the problem with vignetting and also all of the dust spots that were on my sensor or on the optical path of the lens. So I think it's well worth taking those calibration frames. I think the additional time is going to pay off in post-production and you will just end up with a much higher quality image. I know it takes time to take those frames. I know it takes time to do the pre-processing. Actually, Siril took about 10 hours total on my old MacBook to pre-process all of the 500 frames that I shoved into it. Whereas when I used only light frames, it took about 2 hours to stack them. But again, I think it is worth it. So that's basically it for me. Like I said, let me know if I should make a video about Siril, and right now you can check out these two videos. I think this might be very interesting to you. Also consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I plan on releasing a lot more astrophotography content in this and the following years. And also give this video a like if you liked it. I would appreciate it. See you next time hopefully, and bye bye.